Now then, I've been asked by Sky Bet to put together a pick six for the Breeders' Cup. Pick six taking place on Saturday night. It's the last 6 races, concluding with the big race, the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it starts with race 7, which is the 6.5 furlong turf sprint. So I got my head into the daily racing form today and put together 6 horses. It'd be an absolute miracle if they all win, but you never know. We might get 1 or 2 winners out of this, and they bring up points of discussion along the way, with Chris Dixon here with me in the studio. So let's just run through them quickly. At 9:05, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, McNae's got Zip, Daredevil in the Juvenile, Flintshire in the Breeders' Cup Turf. We'll talk to Chris about that. Secret Circle in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, the Mile. We've gone for Anadin taking on Toronado, and Bayern in the Breeders' Cup Classic, likely to be second favourite there or thereabouts, behind Shared Belief. So that's the pick 6 attempt. Hopefully one of them will win. But we may as well have a go for small stakes and see how we get on. Of course, if you do a pick 6, you can put more than 1 in each race, but I was told just to put 1 in, and we'll start with the 6.5 furlong turf sprint, grade 1, of course, and I've gone for McNae's got Zip, who was a 5 1/4 length winner at Del Mar last time out when sent off an odds-on favourite. A bit disappointing the time before. However, McNae's got Zip has got previous at this track, and that is really important because this is the downhill turf track. Now, it's the only downhill track or undulating track really in the States, and they jump out of the gates and they just swing right-handed, then they go left and downhill and over a big road crossing, which some of them tend to jump, and then down to the finishing line. So it's a very much a race for course specialists, and McNae's got Zip dead heated for second in this race last year. It was the big selection of Dave Gutfriend last year in this particular race. Came to this race off a very light campaign, just had a couple of runs coming into the contest, and it's exactly the same this year. Had a layoff after that Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, came back in a grade 3, sent off odds-on favourite, beaten 4 lengths at Del Mar, then improved on the 3rd of September to win by 5 1/4 lengths at Del Mar and win really easily. And now back to the track that this horse absolutely loves. He's run twice here, been placed on both occasions, and looks pretty reasonable, round about the 5 to 1 mark. There are quite a few horses that have got some form on the track, and let me just point you in the direction of one horse who on numbers, on Bayer figures, has not run fast enough and hasn't proved that he can run fast enough yet to win a race like this, but is 4 from 8 on this unique downhill turf course and quite nicely berthed in stall 3, and it is Sweet Swap. Will be around about a 12 to 1 shot. Corey Nakatani rides. He's having a terrible meeting, Corey Nakatani, 6% at the moment, but he's a 14% jockey overall, and he's only had 64 rides for his 6%, so he may just have had a bad lot. Joe Tolomo won on this horse his last couple of starts. He won a grade 3 last time here at Santa Anita. But the thing about this horse, if you want to get involved each way, is that he just loves the track. So I'd be quite interested in him. But let's start the pick 6 with McNae's got Zip. Second in the race last year. Going to go one better, I think, this time around. Run style, up there. Really speedy. I expect this horse to be in front, coming down the left-handed hill. Coming right down the hill. And it's whether she can hang on. She's very game. She just got caught last year. Fingers crossed she'll hang on this year. So that's race number 1, the turf sprint. Let's have a look at the second contest. We move on to the juveniles here. And this is quite a tough one, really, the juveniles. In the end, I've gone for Daredevil. 1.5 miles a furlong is the trip for the juveniles here. Quite a tricky race. I'll just highlight that the Great War's in here, of course, for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore, and he gets Lasix for the first time. He ran at the Curragh last time. He won by 3.5 lengths. It was the Blenheim Stakes over 6.5 furlongs. Big step up in trip for him. He's only raced over 5 and 6.5, and he's stepping out onto dirt as well. He's by Warfront out of a pulpit mare. He should handle the dirt, but the big thing, Santa Anita, is you can't miss the break, and historically on the dirt a lot of European horses have missed the break, so he can't afford to do that. Daredevil, however, is a real dirt specialist. It's 2 from 2 out on the east coast at Belmont and fired a massive figure when winning last time there, and he won a real proper trial for this. He won the Champagne Stakes on a sloppy track, sent off the odds-on favourite, and he was forced to go 4 wide on the home turn. He still fired a buyer figure of 107, and he won comfortably, the trip note says. He won by 2.5 lengths. He's going to have a bit in hand because he's drawn in 12. That is not ideal, but he's really pacey. We saw last year that you can win from a wide draw if you've got early pace. Gold Sense was just about the widest draw of all and won the Dirt Mile coming from a wide draw. So you can at Santa Anita, and I think Daredevil is the horse to be with. 2 from 2 in his career today, and he's been working pretty well at the track. You get the privilege of being able to see how they've worked. You get the times. He's been working pretty well. So the Champagne winner has already won a Grade 1. Will do for me in this. I think the average winning buyer figure for this race is about 98. He has fired 107 already, and he looks like he could be a Kentucky Derby horse for next year. So Daredevil's interesting. He's not a big price. If he was drawn in the first 3 or 4, he'd be 5 to 4, but he's out in stall 12, so he's an 11 to 4 shot. The Breeders' Cup Turf is next up. We can bring Chris in here. We've got some Euros here to chat about. I've gone with Flintshire. I was chucking around Flintshire, Telescope, Main Sequence. Main Sequence being the primary American runner in this particular race, and it's 3 from 3 for Graham Motion since he went to the States. He's won 3 Grade 1s. Used to be with David Lanigan, ran really well in the Derby behind Camelot, of course. I don't think what he's achieved is quite good enough. The style of his victories have been impressive. He's been held up, he's waited to the last minute, he's shown a sharp turn of foot to win all of his races narrowly. I think he's going to have to really step up to win this. So I've gone with Flintshire, who ran an absolute blinder in the Arc. I thought this was a tremendous run, albeit down towards the inside, which is where you want to be on decent ground at Longshore. You don't want to be out wide. We won't talk about Harpstar. So you need to be down on the inside. But the thing about this horse, for Planet Turf, interviewed Maxime Guillon, not this year, but the year before, and he ran in the Arc and he disappointed on soft ground. He said he has to have really quick ground. That's what he wants. He ran well behind Cirrus des Aigles in the Coronation. This was a blinding run. A repetition of this, and he'll go really well. He got a Racing Plus rating of 125 from this race. That stands up really well against the Americans and against Telescope. He was second in the Prix Foyt Ruler of the World. I just think he's a real standout here. He's thrashed by Trev on this occasion, but he's going to get even faster ground than he encountered here on Arc Day, and that's really going to suit him. He will not race on Lasix because Monsieur Farb's horses don't, but it doesn't seem to bother them. So I really like him. I think he's very solid. In some ways, he should have a slightly better win record than he's got. He's 3 from 10, given his ability. I think his ability will get in there on Saturday night. He's never gone on anything faster than good, has he? Well, this is because he's constantly racing, Longchamp, Chantilly. He's racing at places where they just don't ever. He raced on firm ground at Chantilly in June of 2013 when he won the Group 3 Longines. And he beat Park Real there. And that was on really fast ground. He won by 3 lengths and was mightily impressive. Yeah. You like Telescope, don't you? Yeah, because I think he's a better horse. Okay. His Hardwick win was impressive. Yeah, he absolutely annihilated them, and he looked really, really good that day. He beat Hillstar 7, and Hillstar's gone on to win. Good second behind Tagruda in the King George. Canadian International. Not disgraced in a Judmont. It's a mile and a half this race, isn't it? Yeah. I think Flintshire did beat Tagruda. He wants really fast. Yeah, but Tagruda produced her absolute best on that occasion. I think that's her standout run. The King George, yeah. Okay. And I don't think she's quite produced it since then, and the Arc probably didn't pan out ideally for her, and it was at the back end of a long campaign. Flinch's campaign had been largely based around the Arc in mind, hadn't it? And then this. Yeah. So, for all that they say, Flincher needs genuinely quick ground. The evidence is yet to be there that he actually does. He hasn't had enough chance to race on it. That's the problem. But, yeah, he was. I know it was a prep run, I suppose, behind Ruler of the World. Was that in the Prix Foy? The Foy, yeah. It was a prep. But
I don't know. I prefer Telescope.
Okay, he gets LASIK for the first time.
You've done a load more work on this than me.
No, but he's got Ryan Moore as well, hasn't he? He's got Ryan Moore, which, you know, internationally he's just been sensational of late. And
what else have we got? What else runs in the turf?
Well, main sequence, I'm just going to mention him. He's fired 3 triple-digit Bayer figures when winning in the States since he left David Lanigan and went to Graham Motion. He's been racing on LASIKs, and he's won by a neck, a head and a neck. He's 3 races in the States, all of them Grade 1s, Monmouth, Saratoga and Belmont. I wouldn't say he looks like a reformed character, but he's enjoying the style of racing out in the States. He's enjoying the fast ground, and we've got to say it, LASIKs might well have helped him. And he's showing in his races a strong cruising speed and a very sharp turn of foot. But on what he's done, beating American turf horses narrowly, he's got to step up to bother Telescope and Flintshire.
From what we know of him, from when he was in this country, and obviously he ran really well when he was second to Camelot in the Derby. He's not in the same league as those two.
No, he's improved though. He has improved.
Has he improved, or has he just started
maybe he's
running
just found
against weaker horses?
Maybe he's just found his way again. Maybe, yeah. But it's weak.
It's not that competitive, and this is a horse who, if there's one thing that he probably didn't want, it was something to be competitive. I think we saw that right from it. He had a massive class edge when he started out his career. He was a winner on his debut, and then he started out in handicaps for mark in the 70s, and he went up and he won an uncompetitive group race around Lingfield.
Oh, but that's where he fired his big figure, isn't it? Big speed. That's where he fired his big speed figure.
But
that's where he signalled he was a top notcher.
Yeah, but he was coming from off the pace in a relatively uncompetitive scenario. Lingfield's one of those tracks where you can use a turn of foot, get yourself to the front. You don't have to get down and scrap. And as soon as he was ever asked to do that, let's be honest, he turned it in.
He turned it in. He needs to ambush them, like he did in the United Nations and the Sword Dancer, and like he did at Belmont last time. I agree with you. I think even with Johnny Velasquez on board and for the brilliant Graham Motion, he's probably not going to be good enough. I think Brown Panther, I don't think he's going to be good enough either, I'm afraid.
Shouldn't be quite quick enough.
He wouldn't be quick enough on fast ground.
Hopefully he goes and runs the race. It's a shame what happened in...
Well, they're going to pony him down to the start this time. He didn't have a pony, he was out in Canada, and that didn't help. So good luck to Michael Owen with Brown Panther. But anyway, I've gone with Flintshire in the pick 6 there. Should be a race, I think, that'll go to the Europeans. Let's move on to the sprint. This is the dirt sprint, of course, 6 furlongs. The par Bayer figure for this is 110. It's a really good par figure for this. And with Secret Circle here, none of these horses, let me just say at the beginning, have fired anything like that sort of figure. This is a good sprinter, and he won this race last year. He won it by a neck and didn't have to fire a big figure in doing so. He was forced 6 wide, and he still managed to win. He ran on really strongly. He's not been seen very often since. That was in November last year. He then raced in February, where he was beaten a neck in a Grade 2 here at Santa Anita. And then he's had a long break till October, and he came back in his prep run. He was behind Rich Tapestry. He's beaten a length and 3/4. Now, Rich Tapestry takes him on again, but he got into a real duel that day up front, Secret Circle, going 21-4 in the early stages for the lead. He paid for that on his comeback run off a layoff. He'll be much better. This has been his target all along. So he'll do for me at 7-1 to repeat last year's success. He was a short price favourite last year. I think 7-1's good value. Anadin next up in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Look, Toronado's going to be hard to beat. He is. He's obvious, Toronado. Mustajib must go well too. But I'm going to give Anadin a go. Let's just have a look at him. Okay, this is when he was beaten by Kingman, of course. Yeah, he was beaten 2.5 lengths here in the Jacques Lamaro. Olympic Glory was back in 3rd place. This horse is beginning to get his act together, I think. He's only beaten 2.5 here. Here he comes, splitting horse in the Wertheimer colours, Olivier Pellier. And then he ran in the Foray last time, and things did not go his way. He got persistently checked in the Foray, and he finished behind Olympic Glory and Gordon Lord Byron. Freddie Head is very good when he takes horses to America. I think that's partly the angle with me. He knows how to get them absolutely spot on. And when I went filming for Planet Turf, Freddie felt that this was this was the number one target really, rather than the foray, and he felt that the turning mile, the tight turning mile, would really suit this horse. And as a big Brucey bonus, you've got Olivier Pellet, and that is not to be underestimated. I know Toronado will be hard to beat. He's well found in the market, Toronado, but I think Anadin could be very interesting at a decent sort of price. And then if we've got this far, then we'll be a tad nervous coming to the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I've gone for Bayern. Now, I'm a massive Shared Belief fan. I really am. He's 7 from 7 in his career to date for Jerry Hollendorfer. There's loads to like about him. He won the Awesome again last time, the Pacific Classic. He's fired a buy figure of 115 when he won the Pacific Classic. That was on synthetics though, but he's unbeaten on dirt, and he's 1 from 1 at Santa Anita. But his biggest figure was on synthetics. Bayern will be ridden by Matt Garcia for Bob Baffert. He's fired a figure of 111 and last time 110. He had a low-key prep for this, but he beat Tapiture and Candy Boy by 5 3/4 lengths in the Pennsylvania Derby. It was a Grade 2 effort, and it was a really good performance. And he's 2 from 2 at Santa Anita. He really goes well here at the track. He won an allowance contest on the Gary Stevens in February of this year by 15 lengths. That was only his second go, only his second ever race, and his second run at Santa Anita. This firm, fast, sharp track really suits him, and I think he's going to give Shared Belief an awful lot to think about in the Classic, and he is a 7 to 1 shot. So there we go. If we get all those up, it'll be nice. Do I fancy any of them more than others? Well, I've had to do an enhanced daily double, so I've put 2 in at reasonable prices. Rene's Got Zip in the Turf Sprint, dead heat for second last year. I think the horse can possibly go one better. And Secret Circle in the Cup Sprint, a 7 to 1 shot. Won it last year. I think had a nice prep last time. Lightly raced, been targeted at this. So they will do. But I'm quite keen on Bayern. I nearly put him in. I think he's a really good each way go against Shared Belief, who really does make the market. 7 from 7 Shared Belief, and he's going to be very short in that feature event. I think we should just say we're going to see Toast of New York running in that as well. We must wish Jamie Osborne all the very best with Toast. Hope he goes well. He's got a chance. He's got a buy figure of 111 when he was beaten by Shared Belief, and that puts him right up there. I think he's got a chance of being in the money, but I think the Santa Anita Specialist Bayern is the one to be with at 12.35 if you can stay up that late.